Joe's Garage. And today we're going to talk to you guys about, or I'm going to talk to you guys about doing a brake booster and master cylinder on your 1980 C3 Chevrolet Corvette. I have the 5.7, obviously a V8, it's a 350. And I did the brake booster, master cylinder. So the first thing, tools out. I don't know the exact socket sizes because I did this like a year ago. I think they were 8s and 10s. Get all your sockets. You're going to want to make sure you have an impact gun. This is going to save you so much time. I can't even explain it to you. Get an impact gun. I use a DeWalt. DeWalt's my brand for whatever reason. And then you're going to want to get extenders that are long. They're like this long, so like a foot, and they bend. And you can put an attachment on the end of it. You're going to want to get one of those 1/4 inch to, the squares, the sockets, so that they fit on the sockets. That's going to save you all the time in the world here. So you get a set of those long things. They're probably like $30 at the hardware store, $30 to $60. And then you're going to want to get the sockets, wrenches, and the ratchets. That's going to make this job the easiest. Make sure you have your brake fluid. For me, it was .3. Get a decent amount of brake fluid because you're going to want to bleed your brakes after. So drain the fluid. You take a turkey baster and you drain the fluid out of the master cylinder. Then you pull the lines off. So the brake lines for me were, I believe, steel or aluminum. I'm not sure which one. Probably aluminum. And use a wrench on those. So you wrench them out and then cover them with like a paper towel, like one of those blue shop towels. And then you're going to want it, there's going to be 2 bolts. Save all the bolts, trust me. Pull the 2 bolts off, and then that master cylinder is going to come out. Wear gloves, it's going to be nasty. So after the cylinder's out, you got the real fun stuff. Now, the reason I'm telling you to get those bendy pieces, right, is because you have to go underneath the dash. You lay on your back, it's going to be helpful to pull the seat out. My bolts weren't coming out, and I wasn't even going to fight with it. So I just went under the dash completely. And you use those bendy things, and you can snake them up through the dash and use a deep socket. Trust me, use a deep socket. It's going to grab that bolt, and you can just rip it right out. They're not torqued much because it's a pain in the ass to get to. I thought of that like 3 hours into me using wrenches and whatever monstrosity, like crazy shit that I was using. So I spent probably close to 3 hours getting those top 2 bottom ones. The top 2 are the hardest, but trust me, it's gonna make a world of difference. So I pulled all those off. Now I'm not sure if this is factory, but this is what happened to me. There's 4 bolts, right? It's a square. You're gonna be pulling the nuts out. Someone put 2 nuts on the same thread, and I didn't know that. So when I was trying to get the unit out, I had 4 nuts, and I was like, why can't I get this out? And I was yanking on it, using pry bars, trying to get the damn thing. I was ready to cut it. And then I went back under and I checked to make sure that there wasn't one in the center. And I saw that someone put 5 nuts on. So I don't know if that's factory, because I don't know if this was the original brake booster. It looks like it. So just pay attention to that, because I didn't know that. That booster should literally just slide right out. Take that booster. You're done with it. Now you're going to take some Loctite. You're going to put the Loctite on the booster threads, and then you're going to feed the new booster where the old one was. Go under there and try, if you can, to get the nuts on by hand. That'll be a little easier. Once you get the nuts on by hand, then you can take the drill, and putting the booster on is much quicker than taking it off. I didn't have any washers on mine, so I put some on. Then you can take your master cylinder, and now it's just basically reverse the steps. So you bend on those 4 bolts on. Then you take the master cylinder, and you put the master cylinder on. There's 2 bolts, 1 on each side, and you just slide it on. A couple of nuts, bang those on, and then the pain in the ass part was getting the metal lines back on the master cylinder. That took a decent amount of time, and I felt like I was going to break it. And I kind of had to bend it a little bit because I couldn't, they were so stiff. They didn't want to move at all. I had to take it off, put it on, take it off, put it on. I was playing with it. And what worked for me was, so I put the lines on the cylinder before I put the cylinder on the booster. You put the booster, you bolt it to the booster, and that was the way that I was able to maneuver it. Be easy with it though, because you don't want to break those. And I didn't use Loctite on that because I didn't want that getting in my brake system. So then I prefer to bleed it on the car. So lift the car up, take all the wheels off on jack stands. I had a bottle, like a water bottle, a Gatorade bottle. I filled that of brake fluid. And you start from the rear passenger, then to the rear driver, then to the passenger, then to the driver. You want to go in that order. So you want to go furthest from the steering wheel. You hit the brakes and you just keep going and going and going. And with me, because it's my Vette, I did it thoroughly. I bled each caliper for like 4 minutes. And don't be surprised, the brake booster was totally different because it runs off vacuum. And I bought that car with a bad brake booster. It had a massive vacuum leak. So don't be surprised if you have a vacuum leak with that booster or cylinder that your car is going to run better. Mine ran better because I wasn't losing all that friggin' air. I'd hit that pedal and you'd hear the whole time. The 80 Vettes don't have a lot of torque. And I'd hit that booster or the pedal and I'd have to really push on it. I'd be pulling on it and the car would still be wanting to creep. Now, with the new booster, I just have to tap it. My girlfriend drove the Vette for the other day. For the first time, she hit the brakes and it just like locked right up on it. The pedal does have a further push though, so be cautious of that. And you want to just kind of rehearse with it so that when you're at a stoplight or slowing down to a stop sign, you don't just lock your tires up because they don't have ABS. But yeah, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult this job was, I'm going to give it like a 7, Yeah, so I would dedicate, you're probably going to spend about 4 hours doing this job, 4. But getting that booster off and on is a pain in the ass. So, and parts weren't relatively expensive, but other than that, make sure you sub to see more about my Vette. I'm going to try to get more of these videos out. I just changed jobs, so now I have a lot more free time. And I'm making more money. So more money means more projects for the Vette that I can talk about. But, yeah. Alrighty, guys. I'll talk to you. See ya.